It's time for Aggrochat, the official podcast of the Tales of the Aggronaut blog and stalwart gaming community, where we talk about stuff and things, and the stuff about the things, and sometimes gaming. I'm Belghast, and let's start the show. Hey folks, it's that time again, time for another episode of Aggrochat. This is episode number 14. This week, we have the full regular cast again, which is pretty awesome. So, we're joined by Ray.
Hello.
Kodra.
How's it going?
And Ashgar.
Hello.
Today's been like a really busy day because I was out of town. But what have you guys been up to? Ash, what have you been playing this week?
Well, someone laid down the gauntlet this week, so I've been playing a little bit of the letter V 6 times in an attempt to get all the trinkets.
And how has that gone?
Someone might be Kodra.
Yeah. So, okay, you gotta explain, what was the gauntlet that was thrown down? Because apparently I wasn't watching when this happened.
At some point, Kodra decided that he wanted to play this game, and he wanted to actually 100% it, something which I have not yet done.
Okay.
So he did, and now I need to at least match that.
And
however,
to be fair, I received this game when Ash sent it to me. And so I was like, sure, I'll play this game. And then I kind of played it, and I left it sit there. But since I've gotten my new computer, and since I've gotten a controller, playing platformers is much better on my computer now.
I feel like V6 times is not exactly a great game to test out your new system.
It's not, but it's a great game to play with a controller, and it's really fun for me.
I bet it would be really fun on the Vita. Does it exist on the Vita?
it exists on the 3DS, but not the Vita.
Okay.
It does exist on the 3DS? That's kind of cool.
Okay, so what else have you been playing, Ash, other than V6 times? Like, is that really what people call that game? Or
That's what I'm calling it, because I'm not calling it
If you actually go to their website, they say this game is pronounced the letter V 6 times.
That's hilarious. Okay, so it is the letter V 6 times. Okay, so sorry to interrupt you, but what else have you played?
A little bit of Skullgirls. Well, sorry. I just had that on mind because I was writing about that, but just played that enough to take screenshots of it.
Cool.
But Shovel Knight is the other game I've been playing a bit of.
Because someone else griefed you?
Because someone gave it to me. And that someone might be Belle.
Yeah. Well, it is so rare that I happen to crack open a game that's on your wish list that you don't already own. So, yeah, I'm like, oh, what the hell? We'll grief Ash, since he griefs me all the time. Speaking of Skullgirls, did you see that it is coming out on the PS4?
I did. Also, I was watching them play it a bit today at EVO.
And it looks... I have not spent much time playing it.
You should.
And I think they're going to make it a cross-buy.
Which means I'm going to already have it.
Yeah, so, awesome. Kodra, what have you been up to?
So, I'm looking through the list. I've played The Wolf Among Us through Chapter 1. And so, this is a game that I'm actually... I went out and got a 25-foot HDMI cable so I can plug my computer into my TV, and I'm playing it alongside my wife, which has been really fun.
That's cool.
I played a lot of the letter V 6 times and had a good time with that, and my current top score is 20 of 20 trinkets in 53 minutes.
Wow.
I've been playing some of... I've been playing Mirror's Edge because Belle put it on the list, and I was like, hey, I have a computer that can run it and a controller that I can play with it. And I could talk at length about it, but maybe I'll save that conversation for when Tam is around, because...
I know it's like one of his favorite games ever.
And it's... Me and him agree it's a fascinating game, and it's so good, but there are problems, and those problems would need to be resolved before... Hopefully they're making a second one, and hopefully they figured out how to resolve those issues.
My problem with that game is it triggers my vertigo in so many fashions that I can't hardly stand to play it.
I could believe that.
Yeah, it is entirely too vertigo-inducing for me to play. But I mean,
Yeah.
it looks really cool. Like it's a cool looking game.
It's a very cool concept. I played a little bit of Kentucky Zero and had to put it down because my brain was bleeding. It's a weird game.
It is a weird game.
Today I played a little bit of Ibn Ob, which is a hilarious game. And then a game that I know Ashgar has played that he forgot is we played a bunch of Dungeon Defenders.
Oh, yes.
And that's it for this week. I played some Dark Souls Prepare to Die long enough for me to realize that it's still not a game for me.
Did you ever get the whole Xbox Live thing sorted out?
Yeah, it's very, very weird. It's actually Windows Live, like the games for Windows Live. So you have to like say, okay, log into my Games for Windows Live's account. And it's like, oh, you aren't gold. And so then you have to sign out and then log back in.
Weird.
Yeah, I looked it up online. But yeah,
Games for Windows Live might be a buggy piece of crap.
Yeah, it might be awful.
Which is why it hasn't been in any new games in the last year-ish.
They're
removing it from some other games.
Yeah.
Well, they're sunsetting that service. So, like, there's a big concern about will we be able to play our games that are games for Windows Live?
Which is frustrating because, like, Fallout 3 is a games for Windows Live game.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll fix that one because that one is still being played a lot.
Yeah, there was a rumor that they might.
Things.
There was a rumor that they might try and port stuff over to Steamworks, but I somehow don't think that's going to happen.
Well, they did for I think one of Microsoft's own games, like either
Really?
Age of Mythology or something. Used to be games for Windows Live and isn't now.
Well, I know Fable Lost Chapters or whatever is also. I think it started off as games for Windows Live, and now it doesn't require it. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens. And the same kind of stuff's going on with the GameSpy sunsetting of those servers.
Though.
Well, those are like really dead, but like Steamworks has picked up and patched a lot of the games so that they actually functionally work now. So
did they get the first Borderlands?
I think so. It was some of the more modern games are just working fine now. There was a list. The last one I heard of was Lost Planet was ported over. Maybe it was Lost Planet 3. I don't know. Whatever the last one that was on the PC.
Oh, yeah. And my other news for this week is that I managed to win the tournament today. So I'm going to GenCon for the first national championship for My Little Pony Cardgame.
And it's not like you weren't going to go to GenCon anyway. So.
Yeah, I mean, I was still going to GenCon regardless, but I now get to go and I play in a pony tournament that is going to be... So, the tournament starts at 10 a.m. on the day on Saturday, and Friday at midnight, I have the Midnight LARP that I always attend. So, I might not be feeling too great for this tournament, but we'll see. I'm going to do it anyways.
Yeah, I'm saying probably like, Rockstar Monster, 5 Hour Energy, some combination of the above.
Something crazy.
So, Ray, what have you been up to this week? Other than training?
I started off the week with some League, and then we did League on Thursday night again, and I guess the guys didn't really feel like playing bots or each other, so we decided to do some ARAMs, which ended up being kind of a bad plan.
Uh-oh, what happened?
Yeah. Well, I play ARAM a lot, and so...
Oh.
Yeah. We were going up against teams of people who had Diamond MMR in ARAM.
Oh, man. Yeah, so, it's like queuing with Shan.
Yeah. And I kept telling them, I was like, we could play bots, we could do something else. And they're like, no, this is fun, we're learning. And I'm like, okay.
It's a bad plan. Maybe Ray needs a Smurf account just for ARAM.
I can't afford another League account.
Well, make it truly ARAM. Just play the free champs.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not an ARAM Smurf.
Well, I'm sure you'll have enough to buy Needly eventually.
Yeah. I'm not really happy with the way she is now. I didn't return her, but I definitely can't play her the same. If I get her, I play her AD, like AD Bruiser, tankish Needly, Pounce Murder.
So what is the in meta ARAM champ?
Lux and Ziggs are always good. I'm not a big fan of Xerath. Varus. I got Varus the other day, and man, I got first blood sniping off a Syndra. It was so delicious.
So, is Heimer still a really solid pick?
Sometimes it's kind of magical how every time I play him, he's almost ineffectual. My turrets just are constantly dead. I'm constantly out of mana. But anytime I'm playing against a Heimerdinger, like, his turrets never die, and he's always dealing hundreds of damage to me, and always manages to land his W on me. It's really annoying.
I feel like Heimer, though, is one of those champions that everybody guns for. So, I don't know. Like, I never can seem to take him on, but it feels like anytime I have one on my team, the other team immediately guns him down and keeps him from doing anything useful.
That's because he doesn't have any way of escaping.
Aside from his stun, which is really awkward to use.
Yep.
I think it may just be a champion that people hate to play or be up against.
Well, he also has a whole bunch of power on the board that goes away when he dies.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, anytime I play him, it feels like people just kill my turrets looking at them. But anytime I'm playing against a Heimerdinger, his turrets take like 5 hits, and in those 5 hits, their entire team will dive you because you're, distracted or whatever.
Okay, so I know you were playing another game that I'm curious of your assessment of.
Oh, right.
Yeah, Cartoon Network has a game called Adventure Time Battle Party. And the rumor is that Riot partnered with Cartoon Network to make this MOBA. It's a web-based MOBA. And you pick Adventure Time characters, and they have 2 basic abilities and an ultimate, kind of like League of Legends characters do. Instead of leveling up the skills, your character levels up, and you level up kind of stats in what they call a backpack. I think it works like Heroes of the Storm, but I've not actually played Heroes of the Storm, and I'm kind of losing interest in ever playing it.
So it's really funny. Like, I've read a little bit about Heroes of the Storm, and I think Battle Party might actually be a more complicated leveling up system.
Really?
Well, so Heroes of the Storm, you get how many options every time you level up?
2 to 3, I think.
So
eventually 4. Once you get high enough
eventually
level.
4. Yeah.
Every time you level up in the Adventure Time game, you get 5 choices. And how it works is you pick a pack, and that pack has items in it. And that's what options you have to level up. So you're never leveling up your character, you're always leveling up your items.
Okay.
Like pancakes. Pancakes
Yes.
are health.
And the sword that has Monster Hunter on it, which is awesome.
Yes, it's the jungler backpack. They have a jungle. They've got on the purple side of the map, there's a little pack of 3 fairies and some kind of swamp monster at the top, and on the blue side they've got a pack of mechanical bats and a werewolf.
It reminds me a lot of it's a condensed Twisted Tree line.
Yeah.
See, I want to play it just because I'm a huge Adventure Time fan. I just, you were playing it off and on during the week, and I just totally forgot about it anytime I got home.
I played a very little bit of it. We should play, though, Ray. We totally should. I've been playing so much other stuff. I played a little bit when I was playing the Lumpy Space Princess.
Yeah.
I was playing Lumpy Space Princess as a jungler because her range is just ridiculous. Like, sniping smite kills is awesome.
That's funny.
But the real question is, do you actually have to listen to LSP to play LSP?
You kind of do. Like, she will talk.
I'm not a big fan of LSP.
The lemon guy is really annoying.
Lemon grab? Yeah.
I also really like Jake the dog because Jake the dog
is amazing.
So he's got better than Amumu. Like, he has basically Amumu's bandage toss, only it's like also a 2-second stun. And then his ult is he becomes giant, and anything he walks over takes tons of damage.
Like tons of damage.
See,
yes.
So do they also have the gender swap version characters available?
The outfits, yes.
Well, no, like, so instead of Jake, you have Cake. Instead of Finn, you have Fiona.
Oh, well, Fiona's a character. I'm a
Right.
Fiona main.
Right, yeah. So they do have the gender swap universe
And
characters.
I believe they have Cake, yeah. I saw a female Jake.
I think
Well,
that
no,
might
I
be
didn't see a female Jake. I saw saw Fiona. I didn't see Cake.
Okay.
Cake might be one of his skins. I know the Lumpy Space Princess has Lumpy Space Prince as the other skin that you can get.
I feel
Fiona's
like I would probably
annoying.
like Marceline. If Marceline
The
was in the game.
vampire?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's in it. And her skin is a dude.
Marshall Lee, yeah.
Sure.
Look, I watch a lot of Adventure Time.
I've been watching it like recently, so I just got to the episode that introduced Marceline. So I'm still at the beginning
Wow.
of it.
Yeah, so that's a lot. She's been around for a long time in the show. I think she's getting towards the end of the first season, maybe?
I'm going through it on Netflix.
Oh, it's on Netflix?
Yeah.
See, I need to start from the beginning and watch it all, because like there's probably episodes that I've missed because I just watch it piecemeal whenever it's on Cartoon Network.
No, they have all of the episodes, well, enough of the episodes on Netflix, so I've been watching it. It's a weird show, man.
I love the show because it operates on so many different levels. You've got the immediate, look, it's a cartoon fantasy kingdom where everyone's made of candy. And then you've got the whole level of, this is really the post-apocalyptic future of our world. Because every so
haven't
often,
gotten to that level.
Well, I mean, you see it from the very beginning. Like every so often, they will dredge up, like even in the treehouse, like they dredge up all of this stuff that they're using, like BMO. You've met BMO, right?
I don't even think I have.
BMO was in the first season, I'm pretty sure.
I'm still in the first season. I might not have gotten to that episode.
Is he like a little MP3 player type dude?
Yeah, it's like a little computer. Yeah,
He's in this game too.
Yeah,
no, yeah, I haven't gotten to that yet.
But anyway, like if you just look around their treehouse, there's all this technology. Like there's Macintoshes just strewn around the treehouse that they have. So it sets up this, like, they never really confirm it, but I mean it sets up this whole concept that, you know, their world exists after our world.
Interesting.
So it's crazy. Like I love that show. It and a regular show are probably two of my favorite cartoons on right now.
And Catbug.
Well, yeah, and Bravest Warriors is by the same folks that do Adventure Time, but it's like a space-based YouTube cartoon, and it is amazing because it has Catbug. Drop those peas! Okay!
We're best friends
Oh,
now.
man.
We're gonna have stuffed tacos later.
Yeah. So anyone who thinks I'm crazy at this point, go Google or go to YouTube and look up Catbug, and it's the most adorable thing ever.
Prepare to be drowned in adorable.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, the animation style always puts me a little bit on edge. And like, it reminds me of a lot of really bad Adult Swim shows.
Adventure Time?
Adventure Time's animation style reminds me of a lot of really bad Adult Swim shows that I did not enjoy at all.
I could see that. Yeah, I mean it's got like a really informal style, and I think honestly it's been so long since I've seen the first season, but it may have changed significantly as it goes. Like it gets a little bit more advanced as the seasons go.
Okay.
But a lot of shows start off kind of primitive and get more advanced as they go along. So, but yeah, like. I think Battle Party sounds like an interesting idea. I did not know the whole Riot rumor. Like, has that been confirmed at all, or is it just, assumption at this point?
I just heard it on somebody's stream, so it's entirely hearsay for me.
Yeah, that sounds like a rumor, like you can get the Triforce in Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, that sounds like... That honestly sounds a little bit like wishful thinking. But, yeah, stranger things have happened. But
I mean, it really feels like Riot's touches on it.
Well, the thing is like I don't know what why it would benefit them to build a game for Cartoon Network. I guess.
Oh, So I guess the logic that I would see is, hey, we need to get some way of introducing a different audience to the idea of MOBAs.
Hook them early.
Yeah. And honestly, it really it feels like they took Twisted Treeline and made it simpler. Like it's Twisted Treeline minus one row of turrets and I think like minus one creep spawn in the jungle. Maybe two creep spawns in the jungle.
Well, we were jokingly referring to minifigures as or Baby's First Diablo. This might be Baby's first
MOBA?
league.
Yeah.
I still
I mean,
think Awesome Nuts is a better choice.
But then
Awesome
again,
Nuts Awesome Nuts doesn't play like League though.
It's true.
it plays like a side scroller. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's a cool game. Like I picked it up on the PS4. I was playing it the other day. And yeah, I don't know. It seemed like a cool game, but it doesn't feel like a MOBA to me. I mean, it is by every aspect a MOBA, but it didn't feel like a MOBA.
Yeah, well, MOBAs are like this is why I'm really excited about the what is it called, Battleborn, the Gearbox MOBA.
The what? The
Coming out with an FPS MOBA.
Yeah, the FPS one. Yeah, that one actually looks really cool. Like, because I was reading an article today about it where they said basically they were trying to take all the lessons they learned with Borderlands and apply it to a free-to-play game. And I like the weird steampunky setting of it as well.
Absolutely. I mean, so also what Gearbox never gets enough credit for is the fact that their writing is fantastic. And I really want to hear a story told in one of these really weird MOBA worlds where, like, you've got sorcerers hanging out next to steampunk pistol-wielding robots.
Like, I mean, I would love to have a single-player game set in Runeterra, with the yordles and the, everything else. Because it's interesting to me the way that they weave these worlds together to where there's all these disparate parts that don't make sense, yet they have to make it make sense.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting story there, but with Runeterra, it almost seems like all of it is designed to be captured as a moment in time. Like, all of their story is designed to just capture moments in time. It doesn't seem like the world itself is a living world. But I'm excited because I really liked what they did with Borderlands. Borderlands was a fantastic take on a genre I typically don't like, the looter type genre. I never really have gotten into Diablo. Even when we were playing Diablo a whole bunch, I was kind of just playing to hang out with you guys.
Well, and I feel like the problem there was that you were just too far behind the curve to really enjoy the experience.
Even when it first came out, I was playing at your guys' level. I was not enjoying myself that much. So, but with Borderlands, that was like the most fantastic game I had ever played. Me and Tam like played it for over probably like 30 hours in a 3-day weekend. We kind of went crazy with that game.
Well, and anything that's the same kind of game play as Borderlands in a more always-on multiplayer type environment to me with persistent characters seems like a win. Yeah, because
I don't know
really
if it's going to be persistent characters in this new thing.
Okay. That's
It'll
really
be interesting.
The thing that is the hook for me with like an MMO is I just like the fact that, my character exists for a long period of time, that I'm always working towards something other than, just the length of this save game.
I think they want to make it more MOBA-like, so that's just that game.
Okay, so you build it up for the purpose of the game, and then you reset back to square one the next game, and...
Yeah, although they did mention something about a PvE experience, which might be more what you're looking at. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like it's... When PvE is introduced into very all PvP experience that always ends up a little weird. Like, I don't know. I feel like the Hearthstone Naxxramas stuff, for example, is going to be just kind of weird. I mean, it's ultimately that was what I was wanting from Hex, but just the way that they're going with the wings that you have to unlock separately, I don't know, it just feels a little odd. I don't know if any of you guys have been following the whole Hearthstone stuff.
I have not.
They're coming out with their expansion, sort of, which is Naxxramas. And you have to purchase the wings separately, but you get the first one for free if you log in, I think, on the first day.
Yeah. I think it's like the first few days. But still, yeah, I mean, it's... People are talking about stockpiling gold now so that they can unlock the wings for free.
Except there's not really any need to stockpile gold now because they only unlock a week at a time regardless.
Right.
If you're playing regularly, it shouldn't be too hard to unlock them within the week.
I think the most interesting thing there is that it's going to add new cards to the game. Because there's a significant number of new cards that I've seen that come out with the Naxxramas expansion. But what's weird about that is, from what I understand, it's entirely PvE. So, I don't know. Like, I don't know how the people that are really hardcore into the player versus player aspect of that game are going to like having to play a PvE encounter to unlock the cards. But anyway, that's a rabbit hole that we dug off the main topic. But I think Battleborn definitely looks like it's going to be interesting. Okay, so Ray, anything else that you've been messing with this week?
Oh, that's about it as far as games go.
I think that's the longest we've rambled on in that section so far.
I think so, yeah. Like, I'm completely out of sorts as to where we should head now.
Oh, there was one more game, two more games. Man, I played a lot of weird stuff. I played Candy Box. I don't know. Have you guys played that?
I have not.
I don't think we're thinking of the same thing. You're not talking about I think I'm thinking Candy Clicker.
It's very similar to Candy Clicker. Cookie Clicker.
You mean Cookie Clicker?
Cookie Clicker. No, this is very similar to Candy Clicker. Like, literally, the game is, hey, you have 1 candy, 2 candy, 3 candy, 4 candy, 5 candy.
Yeah, okay, yeah. It's and the weird fourth Doctor shows up eventually.
I have not gotten to the fourth Doctor.
Then have you played it at all? Because, like, he shows up, like, almost immediately.
No, we might be talking... maybe you're playing Candy Box 2.
Maybe.
Anyways, this is the game where, like... oh, yes, the fourth Doctor is the person who is selling you stuff.
To you. Yeah, he looks like the fourth Doctor. He's got a scarf. He looks like
the fourth Doctor. I was like, what are you talking about? Yeah, no, that guy who sells stuff to you. Yes. Yeah, and then you go on adventures with your sword, and you have to level up, and you have to get, like, millions and millions of lollipops and candies.
That was the weirdest damn thing I had played. Like, I thought Cookie Clicker was weird, but... So
what happened was Extra Credits did a show about what they called waiting game. And they mentioned that these are games where, like, you are like, the whole idea is something is happening and you kind of have to wait, and then something weird happens and you're like, well, that's weird, maybe I should investigate, maybe if I wait more I'll figure this out. And the examples they gave were a dark room, Candy Box, and Frog Fractions. And I loved Frog Fractions. What a weird, delightful little game.
Yeah.
And so I decided to try these out. These are not as delightful as Frog Fractions. It's very standard. Like, I am doing a text-based adventure game type thing. Whereas Frog Fractions got, like, I guess this game gets whimsical and weird, but Frog Fractions got weird and funny. Like, this game lacks the charm and humor of Frog Fractions to me. And on another note, I played a Flash game called Gods Will Be Watching, which is depressing.
Okay, had you played it before I linked you the video or not?
No, you linked me the video, and I was like, huh, this looks interesting. And I was like, oh wait, they said that this game is coming out, but it's currently out as a Flash game, which is a game of depression.
Yeah, like I was watching that playthrough, and I'm like, this is totally a game that Kodra would like.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, it's all about it's a plate spinning game, and sure,
and I can't spin that many plates, so
yeah, I spun those plates, and I like eventually I kind of got bored of it. And
I mean,
then
was there
I
a win
lost.
convention? I mean,
yes.
like because it looked like you were never going to win on the playthrough that I watched.
Those guys were making some mistakes.
Were bad.
Like, so there's this weird thing where, like, I feel like he knew all of the tools, but he didn't really know how to use them. Like, oh, I have a whole bunch of confident guys. I really need them to not be confident anymore. I'm gonna go beat them up. No, start shooting people. Because start shooting at the guards, because all of those people go down on confidence once you start shooting at guards.
And shooting at guards also serves to push them back. So.
Yes, but like, this was the obviously right choice, and they're like, no, I'm gonna go punch this guy now. I was like, no, what? No, you're bad at this. So yeah, no, they were not good. Like, it looks very difficult. It looks like a plate spinning game. I like plate spinning games, though.
I'm usually bad at them.
I will say that the room seems like a trap. Like, because you're wasting...
They get super confident super fast, it seems.
Well, and you're wasting 2 actions to deal with that.
Yeah.
So, I think you almost want to let your hostages go the natural route.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes a hostage goes away, but you deal with it.
Just let them escape or let them... So what happens if they get too nervous? Like...
they, like, freak out and try and make a run for it, and I think you shoot them. Okay,
so it's not... Like, I didn't know if they just, like, died out of freaked outness, or...
I'm not sure. I didn't... Well, so the Flash version is, you're sitting... You're stranded on a planet. And... You have to get a radio working, and then you have to survive for 40 days on this planet. And that means you have to constantly be going out and hunting. You need to be maintaining everyone's mental health. You have to be repairing the radio, and you have to be keeping the fire going.
Okay.
And so those are sort of the things that you can do. Also, you have to be preparing medicine, because sometimes people get paralyzed and you have to heal them. So, but like, no one will tell you they're paralyzed. They'll just stop moving. And you have to like walk up to them and like click on them, and it's like, oh, they aren't moving. You can cure them. But yeah, I eventually will go back and beat that game, and then I might get it when it comes out, because I mean, it looks interesting. Very depressing. Oh my goodness.
Okay, so I guess it's my turn to talk about the things that I've played. And really, this is going to be the longest one, Ash, because we're not actually through this section of the thing. I've mostly been playing Minecraft. Honestly, I've gone back and played it. The Alliance of Awesome threw up a server this week, and for whatever reason, the beginning phase of Minecraft always entices me. The whole, getting a base and getting all the resources you need to survive. And that's what I've been doing. In fact, as we're podcasting, I am slowly digging a tunnel. And I dug a tunnel to bedrock this morning and found diamonds and, the whole thing that, always happens. Other than that, I picked up a bunch of used games a couple weekends ago, and I got hooked playing Fallout 3 on the PlayStation 3. I picked it up because it was the Game of the Year edition, and it was $5.
Nice.
And everything was going amazing until I encountered apparently a PlayStation 3 only bug. That pretty much made my entire time in Megaton really bad. There's a bug that can happen if you talk to people in the wrong order where the sheriff can die. So, yeah, that kind of killed my playthrough at that point. But I may pick it up again. Although, I will probably end up reinstalling Fallout 3 PC and playing with the mods that, I think it was on the /gaming Reddit that somebody posted a picture of a Fallout 3 install with all these mods, and it was gorgeous.
The Make It Pretty mods?
Yeah, the Make It Pretty mods, and yeah, it was gorgeous. It looked way nicer, so I will probably end up doing that. I still haven't beaten Tomb Raider. I need to. I'm kind of taking a bit of a break from MMOs lately. I did play a little bit of World of Warcraft this week, in part because I have been watching a lot of Netflix. Some time ago, I started Farscape, and I never finished it. I don't remember what happened, but for some reason I got disrupted while trying to watch it, and Netflix lost the licensing for it. So I went for a period of time where I had no access to it. And I've picked up and finished off Season 3, and I'm working my way through Season 4. And before I started playing Minecraft this week, I was playing some WoW, because WoW is one of those games where I don't have to think to play it, and I'm just not used to only watching television, so it was busy work while I was watching Farscape. Other than that, I really haven't played much of anything this week, other than Minecraft, really.
All right. So, where do we want to go?
So, okay, one of the topics that came up this week is, I don't remember who was even talking about it, but it was two people on Twitter, and they were discussing how they felt about the term gamer, and how anymore they don't really want to self-identify themselves as a gamer, because for them at least it indicated as much negative as it does positive. And we got to talking on chat the other day, well, most of us, but especially Kodra and I, and Tam, about how the issue isn't necessarily gamer, it's just subcultures in general. And I know, Kodra, you mentioned that you're part of a subculture that, sometimes causes you to cringe.
The Brony subculture?
Yeah, the Brony subculture, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I forget how I found out about My Little Pony. I was like, all right, I'll take a watch of this. And honestly, the first episode wasn't super impressive, but I stuck it out for like up to episode 5, I think, and then I was hooked.
See, I made it to episode 5, and I didn't hook me, so I kind of gave up.
Yeah.
Well, so I really, Belle, I'll be honest, the episode that you need to watch to hook yourself is an episode called Suited for Success, because it's basically them talking about scope creep, at a moral lesson about scope creep. It's really, really funny to me.
Okay.
Yeah, but there's all these cultures, and like especially in the Brony subculture, you have these people. I had it today, and I kind of bit my tongue because I won some door prizes, and the door prizes were dog tags with My Little Pony characters on it, and I was like, okay, these are cute, and then I looked at them and I was like, this doesn't fit around over my head at all. And I was like, well, that's not terribly surprising, considering this is a toy designed for like an 11-year-old girl, the demographic. And somebody was like, well, it's too bad that they don't. It's like, I think Hasbro doesn't want to just doesn't want to recognize the true fans of the show, and I was like,
whoa.
Or no,
Yeah.
it wasn't even the true fans. It was the actual fan base. I was like, so, and I don't want to be antagonistic, but yeah, that's not. Don't go down that road, because we are the outliers here, man. We are not the true calling for this show. Just you gotta accept, like, this is a show designed to appeal to a young female audience that is really, really good. And it's great that this show exists, because there have been plenty of shows designed for this audience that were terrible. They were dreck. And they've been unwatchable. And this show is fantastic. It appeals to a broader audience, like so many other shows that were designed for young boys appeals to us. Like, Belle, you mentioned today, you're a big fan of Adventure Time because it's a well-designed show.
Yeah, totally. And I the thing I like the most about Adventure Time is that I don't feel like it is only for little boys. Like, it has just as many interesting female characters as it has interesting male characters. And that's kind of a rarity in a cartoon.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I know I am not the key demographic for that show.
And that's the thing, that's the thing with Bronies, is like, so, but a lot of Bronies are just fantastic. So, but yeah, I definitely do cringe when some of that chest pounding comes up, because.
Well, and I think the problem that you get into is anytime a group feels like they need a gatekeeper, to allow people into the genre, and that's kind of what the whole quote unquote true fan statement sounds like, is they're wanting to curate who has access to whatever they like.
It's like the No True Scotsman to the nth degree.
Yeah, exactly. And it's okay, that's And I guess I'm a generation older than most of you guys, and I still, to some extent, saying I'm a gamer is something I've always self-identified with. But I guess to some extent, it doesn't feel sullied yet to me, just because I that used to mean that I don't know how to describe it, but it used to mean like somebody was your instant friend. If you found out they were a gamer, there weren't the divisions that there are now. And I think that's the part that bothers me, is like that there's all these fractures in what is essentially a small subgenre, and it's the whole geek on geek violence thing we were talking about in a previous.
It's not really
episode.
A small subgenre anymore, though.
I guess that's true, because you're really saying you're a gamer is like saying you walk.
Well, so that's the thing, though. So saying you're a gamer has taken on a completely different meaning, because again, a lot of people play games, but very few would admit to being a gamer, and that's a very interesting thing to me. Like, lots of people play Candy Crush, lots of people play games on the iPad that aren't like select threes or click match threes, but they don't really identify as gamers because that's just not part of their identity. There's a lot of people who gaming is part of their identity.
Yeah, and I've always been one of those people, I think.
But where we get into problems is when we start to try and segment it off and try and keep it for ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, for me, it's one of those things where I play so many different types of games. When I say I'm a gamer, I was like, and when somebody says they're a gamer, I want to know, what type of gamer are you? Like, Are you a video gamer? Are you a role-playing gamer? Are you a miniatures gamer? Are you a LARPing gamer?
Well,
Like,
and I feel like that maybe once upon a time, when you said you were a gamer, it was more of a almost the equivalent of a quote-unquote renaissance gamer, to where you did a bunch of different things. Like, I mean, if you were a geek, it kind of meant you were probably into comics and games and cosplay and action figures and, pen and paper and board games and...
But all of those sub-genres of gaming have become so in-depth themselves that, like, I like to have a very wide breadth of types of games I play. But so I like to know a little bit about everything, and
Right.
that's how I have fun. But I think you have to be inclusive, and we have a lot of exclusivity. Like, man, every time I ever heard a story about that whole fake geek girl stuff, it irked me so much.
Yeah.
The
That's-
nerd girl meme.
The nerd girl meme, yeah.
It just, those all kind of bother me on a deep level. I mean, I guess it comes down to, I take a lot of people at face value. So if you say you're this, then I accept you're whatever the hell that thing is. So I mean, if you want to self-identify as a raider, I don't care how hardcore of a raider you are, you're a raider to me. That's a thing. And I don't know, it just feels like the exclusivity is artificially passing judgment on somebody else for whatever they're doing in their free time.
You have to pass everyone's litmus test.
And there's no way to pass everyone's litmus test because it's always going to be vastly different.
That was, by the way, one of my favorite quests in... did you ever play the Tiny Tina Borderlands 2 DLC?
No, I haven't. I'm a horrible person. And Ray's probably gonna...
You need to go do this.
You really need to
I
go
know.
do this.
It's the best.
There is a quest in there where... so Lilith... no, it's not Lilith. It's... No, it is Lilith, isn't it?
Yeah, the Siren.
The Siren is a hardcore gamer, and like she is very impassioned about playing tabletop board games. And there is also Torg, Mr. Torg, who is also trying to hang out with them and play, and she refuses to play with him because he's not a real geek, because he's all about muscles and explosion. And there is the fake Geek Guy quest, where she goes around and asks, like, you find questions, and Mr. Torg is trying to answer all of these questions about geek culture to prove that he is actually a real geek guy. It's funny. You should really play Tiny Tina's DLC though.
I have downloaded everything, and I was gonna play it a couple weekends ago. I just didn't. But it is on my list of things to play now that I'm not playing as many MMOs.
That should be Steam Powered Sunday. You should play Tiny Tina's DLC.
Okay.
I will refrain from briefing you with a game this week. Tiny Tina's DLC.
The one other category of gamer that I think also gets marginalized is young gamers.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people just when I go to conventions, I see a lot of people like, I don't want to play with kids. And
and I'm probably guilty of this one myself, like, because we've never not allowed kids in like the guilds that we've run, but they've had to be attached to someone in the guild. So yeah, I mean, I'm probably guilty of that one right there. And I personally don't mean to be, but when you hear somebody's a kid, it does kind of color your opinion of them.
Yeah, boy, I would not have been able to grow up the way I did if I wasn't able to play games with older adults when I was a kid.
I know, and that's the bad thing about it. And I'm feeling horrible right now for ever doing it because growing up, yeah, I was the kid that was sitting at the table playing D&D with a bunch of high schoolers. So I would not have, had any of the experiences that shaped me to be the person I am now if it weren't for older gamers allowing me to tag along.
My qualms is I grew up with a little brother who was almost 11 years younger than me, nobody in between. So I was an only child until he was born, and then he kind of became the center of the household. And I had my PlayStation, I had my Game Boy. He would always be wanting to come into my room, and sometimes would just come into my room and play stuff. And that may have kind of, I don't want to say tainted my experience, but I have a healthy dose of reality in terms of kids and games.
Yeah, I hear ya.
No, I mean, they're not all bad. Some kids are really awesome, but some of them aren't.
Oh, I feel like that is true of adults as well.
Yeah,
that is
totally is. And the thing is like I've always been open to kids in whatever we're doing. I just wanted their parent to be along as well, because I don't know. I don't have children of my own for a reason.
I understand.
But that is a different angle that I didn't even think about, to be truthful. And I'm sure that especially in board gaming and game shops in general, you encounter that quite a bit.
You encounter a lot of stuff at game shop. A lot of sexism too.
Yeah, like I remember, Ray, you telling the story of going into a game shop.
Yeah, the only time I've ever been in one, I was visiting some friends in Chicago, and we went, and I got asked who I belonged to.
Which is really weird to me, but...
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's worse than I've ever experienced. I've ever witnessed, personally.
And I guess that it's weird to me that like there's any place in the world where there aren't female gamers, because growing up, like said D&D group that I was a member of always had, I don't know, 3-4 women at the table. So I've never been in a place or time where there weren't female gamers.
So, especially with board games, there tends to be a association between gender and skill level, which really shouldn't happen. But I hear somebody say, "Oh hey, I was playing." It's like I played a game with this girl, and it was amazing. She was actually really good. I was like, okay.
I've heard the same thing with card gamers. Yeah. And I don't know, just in my experience, that the card gamers seem to be maybe a little worse for that I've seen.
And I know for a fact that this holds no bearing, because today at the tournament, the person who I was in the final match up against was a female. So yeah, it does not have anything to do with skill level, but there's this perception, this weird perception. And I don't know where it comes from. Actually, I have theories, but they're not worth talking about.
My fear is that this is just the extension of the whole cooties thing. Elementary school boys seem to be enthralled by.
Well, so it's also a representation thing, right? I mean, all of these games are being marketed at one gender. So, yes, the people who play these games marketed at one gender are represented by one gender.
I think computers and science in general tend to be more marketed towards males. I mean, there's been a lot of programs. I even helped one of my professors in college with a study of, females in computer science and why I was attracted to it and ways to get girls more interested in things like this.
What was the outcome of it?
I don't know, actually. I haven't talked to him about it, but I have a lot of female friends who were in the computer science classes with me, and they're great people. They're good programmers, good at gaming. There was like one of those ads on YouTube that you see before your normal videos at one point, and it showed this young girl, and starting from when she was little, she was running around outside, and her mom told her, "Come here, you don't want to get your dress dirty," and she, so she couldn't play in the mud, and then she was helping her brother out with a project in the garage, and was holding on to the drill, and they were like, "Oh no, honey, let your brother do that. We don't want you to get hurt." And it just shows the sequence of events of her coming up, and then she's in high school, and she's looking at this science club poster or an internship poster on a bulletin board, and just puts lip gloss on and walks away.
Yeah, I've seen that pre-roll. Yeah, and that's definitely that is the way that we treat girls at a young age sticks with them.
I mean, maybe I was just raised wrong, because I'm not a girly girl at all.
Or maybe you were raised right.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Like, that's definitely one thing that I see with my niece is she just doesn't get much exposure to math, science, building toys, things like that. So my wife and I have tried really hard to expose her to things, and she's a Lego junkie, and it makes me so happy. Now, I wish she didn't prefer the Lego Friends, but hey, it's that's a bigger problem since there's no female minifigures in the normal Lego sets. But
you make her some. Oh, I'll make her some.
Have you introduced her to Goldie Blocks?
No, I haven't, because I don't know. Like, I've thought about picking it up, but she may be a little bit old for Goldie Blocks now, unless they have some advanced sets. Because she's, Lord, I want to say she's going to be going into 6th grade.
Oh, 6th grade?
Yeah, like fifth or 6th grade. Yeah. So, I mean, the sets that I've seen of Goldie Blocks seemed a little bit too basic. I mean, they didn't exist when, she was the right ideal age. But the thing is like, I'm trying to, take it on myself to supplement in the ways that her parents aren't. So, because, I mean, she shows interest in it. So, awesome.
Yeah. You should let me build her a custom minifigure.
I see, like, I've given her a lot of the dupes of my Lego minifigs from the packets. Just because there seems to be a better representation of female to male figures in the minifigure packets than there are in the actual sets, but it frustrates the hell out of me because, like, okay, so if there is a female minifig in those sets, it's like the girlfriend or the mom.
Yeah.
There's like, why aren't there girl policemen or policewomen? Why aren't there, sanitation workers? Why aren't there, pilots?
I made a lady sheriff.
You did.
She has a deputy with a horse barrel on his back.
Yeah, like those minifigures look surprisingly like the cast of Longmire.
Really?
Yeah, they do.
That's funny.
Because, like, I think Katie Sackhoff from Battlestar Galactic. Yes? No? I think that's the right words. She's like the deputy in that show, and your little minifigure reminds me of that character.
Yay! I also have my lady lightsaber wielder.
You have mini faces of Rey in minifigure form.
I do.
But yeah, so, I don't know, subcultures are just weird. And I guess I think they've just fractured to the point to where, I don't know, maybe I'm just naive. It felt like once upon a time when I was growing up that, like, okay, so you're into comics. Okay, that's awesome. So you're into, pen and paper. That's awesome too. Like, that there wasn't the fragmentation that there is now, where it was just kind of accepted that, everyone, it was cool that whatever you happen to be into. Like, so if you're a LARPer, awesome, you're a LARPer, that's just a thing. Whereas I feel like LARPing, especially thanks to a series of YouTube videos, is definitely a niche that's looked down upon when it didn't used to.
Yup. So the thing with subcultures is, I think it's a thing of you want to belong to a group. Like, you want to socialize with people. And to socialize with people, you have to find something in common. So these cultures form up around these things. But when a culture becomes too big, you can feel like you're just lost in a sea of people. So you kind of want to keep your culture exclusive, which is kind of a problem. But and here is what I have found the truth to be. If you want to meet people and socialize with them, the best way to do it is to start talking to them, and then hopefully they start talking back. Like, that's my issue with a lot of cultures, is when I'm talking and I feel like no one's listening.
Yeah.
Because that's really, people want to be heard, and if you can make it so that people in your group feel like they are heard, then they will happily stay at your group with you.
Well, and I think to some extent that in a lot of these subcultures, especially with older, members like myself, there's a certain period of time where, being a part of whatever that subculture was exclusionary, and it was you against the world to some extent, but that's not really the case anymore. So I think it takes some waking up and realizing that you're no longer persecuted for whatever you liked.
Wow, yeah.
Because, I mean, it feels like it's almost reverse. Like, we were picked on, so we're going to pick on everybody else.
Yeah, no, that's not a great way to look at it. I mean, I get what you're saying, and that is totally true. And
I mean, that's what I fear is happening here. Is like the subcultures were, to some extent persecuted, and then now they've created this bar of membership that everyone must pass, and they're just doing what everyone did to them instead of embracing everyone with open arms.
So and it's very weird because, like, I was never really bullied. Well, I was not bullied after I started really becoming a nerd. Well, maybe this is unfair. Maybe I was always a nerd, but it wasn't until it was before I was playing Dungeons and Dragons and talking about comics and what. Well, anyways. It was in elementary school that I got bullied the most, and in middle school I was mostly left alone, and like I'm sure I felt persecuted because I didn't have a lot of friends because I was very socially awkward, but I was honestly, people didn't care that I played Dungeons and Dragons as was a big dork.
See, and I think I survived turning into one of the niche bullies because I was never really bullied myself. Like, nobody seemed to care what I did. I was fairly accepted as whatever the hell I wanted to be.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of the quote unquote geek on geek violence is happening by people who weren't accepted and were picked on. And then once that makes its way into a culture, it's just endemic. And it keeps getting replicated by people that don't necessarily have the experiences that led to that point, but they see other people doing it, so they do it as well.
Speaking of subcultures with problems around this, Dash, do you want to talk about the Evo culture?
I'd really rather not.
Okay, that's fair.
Fighting games have a weird culture around them, and yeah, it's been unfortunate, and there's been publicity about it being unfortunate, but
yeah. See, I've never had a lot of experience about the Evo culture. I mean, I played a lot of fighting games in the arcade, and it had a definite culture. But I always found the fighting game culture in the arcade to be, I don't know, really amiable. and just happy to have people.
It's become kind of insular because it's hard. It's extremely hard for fighting games to teach new people how to play them.
Yeah. Well, they just keep getting more and more complicated, and most people don't want to commit to learning a list of 30 moves before even sitting down to play a game.
You probably know more than that if you play League.
Probably. But I feel like League does a better job of easing you into it.
Yeah, I mean, they're displayed on your screen. You kind of learn as you go.
At least the last several fighting games I've played haven't had what I used to call a button mash friendly character. Like, what
Chun-Li?
was... Chun-Li, for example, was a button mash friendly character. Voldo. I think was that his name? Voldo from Soul Calibur?
See, if I were to pick a Soul Calibur character, I'd pick Maxi.
Yeah, Maxi was pretty button mash friendly. But, I mean, like, there used to be a character that required a low skill entry to be successful with them. Anyone that did really well at jump kick offensives, for example, was pretty easy to do. If you learned how to do a jump kick, you could be marginally successful. Now, I mean, a really skilled player would shut you down immediately, but you could do okay-ish. But I mean, the last several fighting games I played, I could rely on my knowledge of a Ryu character or a Guile character or a whatever archetype the character was, but I was not terribly good at it because I didn't take the time to learn the character inside and out. I was basically relying on past experience to survive.
When I die in League, it gives me some time to contemplate what went wrong. I feel like when I make a I don't know when I make a mistake in a fighting game. Like, it's not, and maybe this is just I don't play enough fighting games and I need to, but the barrier to entry to a fighting game is high.
Yeah, I feel there's a very high barrier because a really skilled player is going to lock a new player down completely to where they can't even do anything.
Yeah, that's true in a lot of competitive games, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true in League, too.
Cough, cough. Early attack on Riven, cough.
Hey.
Yeah, you shouldn't do that.
I did it once, and then you kept dying to minions.
I know. Because I kept overextending. I kept trying to chase you down, and then the minions would ultimately kill me. But anyway, yeah, I mean...
I apologize, I'm sorry.
But that's also why in games like League, there's a focus on a bracketing system that, in theory, you shouldn't be going up against extremely skilled players right away.
See, online
like
modes also have that in most fighting games now.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not the league system, but you have the concept of rating.
Are people playing that game who are as bad as me, though?
Honestly, some of them probably. Probably
Again,
yes.
Yeah, I'd be curious about that because I feel like who is picking up fighting games for the first time ever? Like, when I think of fighting... Yeah.
Okay, admittedly, nobody's probably picking up the third edition of BlazBlue for the first time.
So, honestly, I have to say that the culture of Xbox Live or whatever environment you're in has been a massive turnoff to me actually playing online in a fighting game. In part because, I can remember when Street Fighter 4 first came out, I tried to play it on Xbox Live, and man, so much trash talking and just, I don't know, rudeness going on that I had no desire to play online again after that.
I will say people randomly looking at Evo and thinking it looks cool will probably be trying fighting games for the first time, right about now. So,
Yeah, and I can't say that necessarily it was a fighting game thing because, my favorite horrible community moment from Xbox Live was when I tried to play Carcassonne on Xbox Live.
What?
Yeah.
You got trash talked?
I got trash talked on Carcassonne. Yeah. You're never going to complete that road. Your tile management is weak. I mean, seriously.
Hilarious.
I mean, like, I'm sorry. Carcassone's probably the geekiest possible game you can play on Xbox Live.
Only because Agricola isn't on Xbox Live.
And this guy was a raging asshole. And he was so angry
I will
anytime I
admit,
took more than a few seconds to play around.
I have played some Catan on Xbox Live, and there were some people raging at me.
It's just like, really, guys? Really? But yeah, so like I can't blame the fighting game culture for that experience, because every experience I've ever had on Xbox Live has been a horrible one. And I think that's part of the problem, is these subcultures oftentimes are super insular and super toxic towards anyone that is not as quote-unquote skilled as the player expects them to be.
Or more skilled in some cases. Like, Trash Talk extends to rage quits, too.
Yeah.
Yes.
And by the way, League of Legends is atrocious about this. Like, League's community is kind of terrible. I used to play solo queue. I used to. That was a thing that happened once.
I'm so scared.
I mean,
Solo queue.
Yeah.
and it's not limited to, super competitive games. I mean, the main reason why I am not playing Arcade is because it has a truly atrocious community. And they're supposedly working on some ways to mitigate that, but yeah, that community was so abusive that I just have no interest or desire to expose myself to it.
WoW's community was kind of like that when heroics were first coming out.
Yeah,
Like the group finders.
Are you a
I
tank,
feel like
healer, or mage?
I feel like I feel like it's very anonymous, like the anonymity, which drives people to be assholes.
yeah. The more anonymous you are, the worse it seems to get. But by the same token, the people that are playing card games in your local shop and being, raging assholes to other players are very much not anonymous. So
I don't know that they so typically in cards and in-person stuff, I can't say I never see people being assholes because I played with that guy. Yes. That person, most of those people just accept that as their personality is they are assholes. But in card shops I see a lot more like insidious behavior. So
see, the weird thing is around here, the Magic the Gathering community is actually fairly nurturing of new players, but the Yu-Gi-Oh culture is like crazy. Like, I've seen some really angry Yu-Gi-Oh players in card shops here.
yeah, I could believe that. I've never played Yu-Gi-Oh! I should learn how to play that game.
It was.
I did in high school.
It wasn't a thing like when I was playing Magic, so I never really got into it.
A lot of people are playing Vanguard around me. So Ash, by the way,
Yes.
Vanguard, I think if I ever built a deck, all 16 of my limits would
Be
be
critical?
crit. Yeah. Because that's a hilarious answer.
So, at this point, and I just checked, we've gone roughly an hour and a half. So we should probably wrap things up. I don't know what else I really have constructive to add to the discussion of subcultures or...
Holy crap,
Subcultures
that
and
game's complexity
abuse. Be good to your gamers.
Yeah. Don't be that
Everyone-
guy that people don't, that is a bad example for the subculture you're part of. Try and be the good guy, not the bad guy.
Well, and just everyone be excellent to each other. Just be nice to people. Talk to people. Like, it's good. Get out there. People are awesome. Everything is awesome.
Yeah.
Everything is cool when you're part of a team.
Sometimes.
Belle, have you seen that movie yet?
I have seen that movie. That movie is amazing.
Okay.
I
Just
love that
making
movie.
sure.
I own that movie.
I do too.
Anyway, yeah, so I guess let's wrap things up. Ray, where can we find you?
Still littlerayofsun.com.
Kodra, where can we find you?
At Kodra22, and eventually I'll write a second blog post for thekeengamer.com.
Hey, look, you got a blog up and running. That's what's really matter, right? Ash, where can we find you?
I'm at ashfang.com and on Twitter at hidden_wings.
And I am the author of the Tales of the Aggronaut blog at aggronaut.com. I'm at Belghast on Twitter and Belghast on a Nook. Thank you all for joining us. Hopefully you have an excellent week. Good night.
Night.
Good night. Go Complexity!
Good night.
Go Complexity!
Good night.
Go Complexity!
Good night.
Go Complexity!
Good night.
Go Complexity!
Good night.
Go Complexity!
Good night.